What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the 5-Star Jobbers Podcast. I'm Kody.
And I am now the 2-time 5-star champion.
I mean...
And you
Yeah.
are a loser and a 0-time champion.
Well, here's the thing, okay? You could have given me time to prepare for that. You could have given me time to say, hey, you got something coming up right now. You might want to get ready for it.
Why would I have done that?
To be fair.
Listen, in competition, there's no such thing as fair. There's winning and there's losing. Winners win. Losers talk about fair and cheating and whatever excuse they can make.
I'm not saying cheating or anything. I'm just saying
at the end of the
let
day,
me know.
Dude, I could have given you 365 days to Rocky Balboa and eat raw eggs and run upstairs, and you still would have gone out like a light to the master lock.
Fair. Fair. But regardless, it was the first challenge.
First challenge?
You don't get it on the first try.
No, you definitely didn't.
Yeah, you don't get it on the first try. I mean,
but this is the level of difficulty that you're going to have to face to hold this title.
Well, hey, like I said, whatever it takes, I'm going to win it. Whatever it takes, I'm going to win that championship.
I hope you have a good life insurance policy.
Well, regardless, thank you all for listening, and thank you for subscribing to our podcast. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And if you're listening to us through audio, go ahead and follow us on all podcast streaming platforms. We're on not Facebook. That's not a podcast streaming platform.
No, it's not.
Or it could be at some point.
It's not, though.
Yeah. But anyway, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are, we are there. So go and subscribe to us. Also, we're on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can see all of our commentary content, as well as our video content from our podcast episodes and other places that we've gone to as well. But I want to let you guys know some upcoming events that are going to be going on. There's not very much right now, just because right now we're getting into the holiday season and things are kind of slowing down. But there is one I want to make mention of that's coming up soon. December 7th, Guardians Legacy presents Fantastic. It's going to be a great event. They're going to be doing a Stuff the Bus fundraiser, so you don't want to miss out on that. It's going to be at the Rosenwald High School Gym in Panama City, Florida. Doors open at 6 and the bell time is at 7. If you want tickets and information, go to www.theguardianslegacy.com. But now we're going to do something that we haven't done in quite a long time.
It's been a bit.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, but we have got a guest on our podcast, and I'm very excited. We met this guy back at Guardians Legacy. I think it was like August or October, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's been a while ago, but we're so glad to have him here on the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jack Passion. Jack, thank you so much for joining us here. It's an honor to have you on the podcast.
Good to be here, gentlemen. Good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great, man. It's great to see you again. We're looking forward to having you here. So, really, this is just going to be an easy interview. Just sit back and relax, and we just want the fans to get to know who you are if they don't know you already. But first off, I want to ask you, what was the moment that got you into wrestling? Like, what was the moment where you looked at professional wrestling and said, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so the very first moment that really got me into it, I was growing up, and I was living in New York at the time, and I remember turning on WrestleMania 20.
Nice.
It must have been 2004. And I remember the very beginning of the show opened with John Cena coming out and just getting the crowd excited, and the electricity was in the air. And you could tell that people were heavily invested in what was about to happen. And it was himself versus the current United States champion, The Big Show. And I remember John Cena coming out, and not only did he come out and embrace the fans and the people there as his own in Madison Square Garden, but he also started to rap in the ring. And at the time, he wasn't necessarily viewed as the super Cena as people began to know him as, but he was still an up-and-coming rapper. And I saw that, and I saw the connection that he had with the people even at that time, and I went, wow, this is very different. This is something that I've never seen before. I've never felt a connection, a real love like this to anything in my life. And I got sucked right in. And to this very day, almost 20 years later, I'm still a fan of it. And that's where it all started, was 2004, WrestleMania 20.
Wow, I mean, what a great one to get involved into wrestling with. And kind of going off of that, I know you mentioned John Cena as one of the ones that kind of caught your eye. But who were some of the ones that you look at in professional wrestling and kind of your takeaways as to the way you model yourself as a professional wrestler.
Yeah, where do you draw inspiration from as far as from particular wrestlers? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a top four. Obviously, I get the John Cena comparisons a lot with the rapping and the live entertainment aspect of what I do. There's no doubt about it. There's definitely similarities there. In terms of the top three in-ring performers I tried to copy my game after, I would have to say, in order, it would have to be Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, and Brock Lesnar.
Man.
So
it's a pretty good list.
I was about to say, that's a pretty killer list right there, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
So I looked at Randy Orton's career, and I saw a guy who, in the ring, technically, I think is arguably one of the best, if not the best of all time. I mean, everything that guy did was smooth. He just was. I would watch his work, and again, not always the most flashy and exciting matches, but I think from a storytelling perspective and in terms of timing and pacing, he's one of the best, and he's my favorite of all time. Randy Orton is, to me, he's personally, he's the GOAT. After that would be Shawn Michaels for the entertainment aspect of it, and again, the fluidity of what he would do and the entertainment style that he would bring to the WWE or really anywhere that he went. When Shawn Michaels was in the building, you know, whether he was first, second, middle, last, whatever it was, you knew it was the main event. And It was go time. But then there was Brock Lesnar. I saw Brock as the undeniable force that would come in and systematically not only pick people apart, but was an athletic freak of nature. And he went in there and not only would try and portray himself as that killer monster that everybody sees him as, but he's also one of the smoothest guys that I've ever seen in and outside of the ring. And after watching those three guys and the way they operate, I've just tried to model my style after it. And I've given myself the moniker of calling myself a hybrid brawler. So when the time comes to do all that flashy stuff, there's not a move in this business that I can't do. But in terms of the majority, like 90 to 95% of my in-ring work, it's grounded, it's physical, it's intense. And when I hit people or I slam someone to the ground, I want people to know. And I want every single thing that I do to matter. I don't want anything to get mixed up in the stew of pro wrestling. If Jack Passion does something, it matters. So that's kind of where I've gotten my inspiration from.
I mean, that's an incredible list and definitely some different styles to pick from. I saw you kind of grimace a little bit whenever he's talking about Randy Orton.
Well, I mean, just, it's different eras and stuff like that. Like, I have all the respect in the world for Randy. One of my favorite things about Randy, like you said, his work rate, he's definitely in the conversation for probably one of the best in-ring workers. And the thing I love about Randy is that his stuff always looks snug and crisp, but really there's not a whole lot of history of him working with where he's injured people. Because a lot of times you get guys who are really snug, that their stuff looks snug because it is snug.
Yeah.
It's basically a shoot. But then you have guys who, like Flair's punch and, Randy's punches and kicks, that they know how to land them, but land them without doing actual damage.
Right.
Brock is one of those guys where his stuff looks snug because it is snug.
Yeah.
And he's got no problem. Like, he's gonna like, people know if you're working with Brock, you're gonna have icy hot on you by the time you get home.
Absolutely.
But come on, best worker in the world, best work rate of all time.
I mean, I'm not disputing that.
There's only one, and it is the Heartbreak Kid. I mean, Shawn Michaels is the greatest worker of all time, and not just in the work rate for being able to make stuff look real, but also to hype it up, to make moves matter. Shawn was, probably every Adam Cole, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, everybody that wrestles now learned from Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah, everybody's drawn something from Shawn Michaels.
Has drawn something from Shawn Michaels, and at the end of the day, you look at what he's doing with NXT and how he works with those people. So the fact that he's on the list, obviously, everyone's got a little bit of a different favorite, but Randy. I never have any problem with Randy being in the conversation. I won't put him. I can't put him at the throne.
It's like you said.
What's beautiful is wrestling is just like music, and
Yep.
music is like art, and art is subjective.
Yep.
So if you
Exactly.
listen to heavy metal or country, I may like jazz and hip hop or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it's everybody's got their own taste in it. So, and trust me, I brought up the Randy Orton thing to people, and they go, "Man, why Randy? This stuff is boring. It's slow.
No.
We're just watching different things.
Yeah. Randy wrestles perfectly for a heel.
Yeah,
like Randy's not flashy because it's the baby faces. That's the babyface market.
Yeah,
like the worst babyface in the world is a babyface that's a great technical wrestler.
Yeah,
like you look at Benoit was never a great face.
No.
Like, even though the crowd liked him and the fans liked him because he was a good worker, even Brett to a certain aspect.
Like, I was going to mention Brett too, because I mean Brett was better as a heel, honestly, in my opinion.
I think Brett was a way better heel. The problem is that his heel work was he always posited himself as the hero and as the baby face. The problem is and the reason why the business was down more than ever when he was the champion is because a babyface that's technically sound. What do you do with that?
Right.
Like the crowd, oh wow, what a crisp German suplex.
Yeah.
What a crisp hip toss. Like
you make him the underdog. You make him
the underdog. Absolutely. Yeah. You make him the underdog. But once he's the champion, what do you do at that point? Whereas I say a heel's move list should not be highly expansive, and it shouldn't be flashy.
No.
It should be kicks, punches, eye gouges, low blows.
All underhanded tactics, pretty much.
All underhanded tactics, and then you have to have devastation moves. And Randy, in my opinion, over the last 20, 30 years, what's more devastating than the punt and the RKO?
Yep.
Like,
I mean, I can't think of anything.
I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, like you take a heel. A heel shouldn't have flashy moves, but they should have some moves that the commentators and the crowd can see, oh, that move can really hurt somebody.
Yeah.
The heels moveset should be more focused. Where I think when you're working as a babyface or the good guys in this business, you're right. They'll definitely do more flash moves and they'll pop out and they'll come off the top rope and they'll dive and they'll do flips. But as the heel, once you get your legs underneath you and you realize that you're in control, now you can set the pace, you can slow down, and you can really start to dissect. And that's I think that makes Randy Orton one of the greatest of all time.
100%.
He really took his time, and he would dissect people from bell to bell. Once he was on top, man, it's hard to get back from underneath him. Once he was in control, you kind of knew what was coming.
Yeah, and that's the story. And that's the story. You watch Randy's matches. It's methodical. He's not wrestling from a perspective of passion or for the fans. He's wrestling to win a match.
Yeah.
He's wrestling to
each
inflict.
Move is designed.
He's wrestling to inflict pain.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and even with your faces who aren't top rope guys, how they sell the move. They build it up. They lead. They get the crowd. They let the crowd know, I'm about to hit this move, and the crowd gets excited. If a heel does stuff like that and gets the crowd excited, he's lost the point of being a heel.
Yes.
The heel is not supposed to get the crowd excited. They're supposed to get the crowd angry.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of a lost art in modern era. Like, MJF is probably one of the few heels that is still doing it right, where he has a couple moves and they look devastating, but the rest of it is evade, hit, kick, cheat. Only when he's worked a little bit as a face has he even exacerbated the whole point of, I'm going to do this move where I'm going to hype up to the crowd, even if it's just a drop kick or a clothesline. And, like I said, the more wrestlers are able to get back to that, and the better the storytelling will be, and I think that's something that is it's true for both the pro and the indie wrestling scene. There's so many people who are very drunk on the Ring of Honor style and, trying not to be an old fogey, but the old school style of, you can make a clothesline your finishing move if you hit it right and sell it right.
Yeah.
You don't have to do a flying, twisting forearm or springboard, 450 onto somebody. Those look cool. But I say, if you're a heel, the power slam, the punt, the RKO, what else does he need?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. As long as you make it look devastating and make it look effective, and people will buy into it, man. Like you said, you can hit him with a clothesline. You can hit him with a small package as your finish. I mean, the possibilities are endless in wrestling, and I think that's also something that aids to it too, is being one of, if not the greatest form of live entertainment, is you really never know what's going to happen. If you're sitting there watching up and looking up at the ring, you're in for a ride, and it's up to us in order to properly tell that story and to take people on that ride. And you just have to you got to find a way to keep people engaged, to keep people interested, and they don't know what's coming. And even if you do, you gotta do everything in your power to really show those people, hey, this is a war, and we are fighting for whatever, whether it's money, fame, glory, championships, whatever it is. You got to be willing to show people that you're willing to do it every single time, at 100%.
Yep.
It's a skill. It's an art form. There's no doubt about it.
100%.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, Randy's Power Slam, him and Dustin Rhodes,
Yes.
to me, have the best Power Slams in the business currently.
Without a doubt. So I kind of wanted to touch on something because I know that you are a big music guy.
Yep.
Because you also mentioned the inspiration from John Cena. Now, I know at Guardians you produced and created your own entrance theme. Now, do you regularly produce music, or is that just something that you do kind of like to go along with who you are, like in the ring, or your persona per se?
Yeah, so I'm sitting down and I'm writing new pieces all the time. There's a lot of unfinished projects because I'm doing this, I'm working on a job, I'm going to school. There's a lot of other things that are going on at the same time. It's usually when somebody calls me out. So I'll give you an example. So in my other wrestling company, I'm currently having a feud with this guy by the name of Buzzsaw Benelli, and he's been pushing my buttons for about 11 months. Me and him and I, we don't get along whatsoever, and it got to a point where I felt that the only thing I could do to properly express how I felt for this I don't even want to call him a man. I mean, this guy is just so beneath everybody else in the roster. He's just not a very nice guy. And I sat down one night and I wrote a rap song, and it was just an entirely new rap dedicated specifically to Buzzsaw Benelli. So if I'm inspired to do something like that, I'll sit down and write music all day long. But it usually takes me a little bit to kind of sit down, like freestyling. I'm gonna be honest with you, not the best freestyler.
Okay.
I can maybe come up with a couple of bars here and there, but if somebody's like, "Hey, Jack Passion, let's freestyle," I'd be like, "Hey, you win." I'm not gonna pretend to be something I'm not. Like if I
fair.
Sit down and prepare something, it'll be close to gold if I can get it that way.
Right.
But if you're asking me to go up and professionally freestyle people, hey, give me the bronze. I'll take it. I'll take it right now. Let's not do that. But I feel very comfortable doing it. I love writing music. I wrote poetry a lot in high school and in college. So this is something I've always had a passion in. It's just writing and being creative. I always looked up to Dr. Seuss growing up. I know that sounds cheesy, but man, that rhyming and rap style, I learned how to speak through that, and I can just put words together, and I just see it before I see the line before I write it down, and then when I write it down, I feel how it goes into the beat, and I was born with the ability to do so, and I don't know where it comes from. I just have a love of music, and I have a love of creative writing, and I've been doing it for years, so that's kind of where that all stems from.
I don't know how or where I came upon this, but there was some guy that went through, I don't know if it was One Fish, Two Fish, but did like a full-on rap.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw that
I was like,
online as well.
For some reason, now that you talk about Dr. Seuss being your inspiration, I'm like, what if Jack Passion did a rap to either Green Eggs and Ham or...
The Sneetches.
Yes, the Lorax.
Give me one. If you give me a Dr. Seuss, give me something, I'll come up with this for you guys, for this podcast specifically. I'll write you guys a rap.
You heard it here first, everybody. It's going to happen. We'll probably have a debut for Christmas. That'll be our Christmas gift to all of you. Mm-hmm. But I know you mentioned hip hop is one of your biggest favorite styles of music. What will be your guilty pleasure style of music? Like if someone were to look at your playlist and say, why do you have that on there? Like what is one style of music that you would say is your guilty pleasure, or artist, whichever one?
So I would say in terms of an artist right now, I think Chappell Roan is number one.
Okay.
I think, Chappell Roan has got some incredible music. I think she's vocally very talented.
Put that down.
What is that?
Scissor party?
No, we're not having a scissor party.
Why?
You can keep doing that, but it's not going to happen.
Why do you leave me so unsatisfied? Speaking of small packages.
Anyway, back to the subject at hand.
Yeah, so I would say probably Chaperone is a single artist. I would say in terms of my guilty pleasure in terms of broad music, I really like island music. I enjoy Bob Marley. I mean,
Okay.
That's not a guilty
How about
pleasure,
that?
though. That's
Well,
I mean, anybody who doesn't like Bob Marley can go straight to you know where.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, Bob Marley is a goat.
he's a gift. Like
Yeah.
that guy actually. They did not modulate or do EQ to his voice. Like that
No.
is his raw voice
Yep.
on albums. Like when you go and listen to No Woman No Cry, that is Bob Marley's voice.
Yes.
Like that. I'm as a musician myself. I've been playing guitar, piano, bass. Since I was 12 years old, and I've led multiple groups.
Yep.
No, Bob Marley. That's not a. What we want to know the down and dirty.
Yeah, like
All right?
if someone were to look at your playlist, they would go, "What?"
Yeah, don't evade the question, okay? Don't be a politician here, all right? All right. We're talking Eiffel 65. We're talking Aqua, okay? We're talking.
let me pull it up.
We're talking Miley Cyrus, but the Hannah Montana days, Miley.
Like Jonas Brothers, but like Disney Channel version of them.
Destiny's Child is good. I love that.
Okay,
That's a good
I mean-
band. Let's see. I'm a big fan of Broadway music.
There you go.
I grew up in
Same,
New York,
man.
So I would go to Broadway shows all the time.
Yep.
I very much enjoyed Dear Evan Hansen.
Ooh,
Hamilton.
killer musical.
Let's see. Les
Wicked?
Miserables.
Oh, one of my favorites of all time, man. I've done community theater for years now, and I'm a big Broadway nerd. So I'm right. Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people know I've done SpongeBob the musical, and I've done The Addams Family, where I played Uncle Fester, and so
Yeah.
Really?
oh yeah,
Him with the bald head will haunt your nightmares.
yeah, it haunted me too. Like it was scary. I'll just send you the picture of it and everything, but
I'd like to see you be Elphaba.
I don't think I could do that.
I definitely think you could.
Duet? we could do a wicked duet. We could
Yep.
do that.
There you go.
I don't know if I'd call it wicked, but it would definitely be something.
I know about popular.
Oh
The Wizard and I, yeah, we could do all of those.
yeah. Oh man. So
I like Avenue Q.
oh
You ever see Avenue Q on?
oh gosh.
Oh, absolutely.
The internet is for podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word. Yeah, podcasts. Podcasts.
Me up all night hugging me horn.
My gosh. Okay,
You
so
didn't know I was an enthusiast, did you?
I knew you were.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know how big of an enthusiast you were, but regardless,
I'm always bigger than you think.
no comment. But anyway, so
So a little bit of back insight. So when I was still living in New York City, I was working a part-time job, and I worked as an usher on Broadway.
oh
And I would
wow.
jump from theater to theater, and I would see these different shows. So then so I saw Cats, I saw Hamilton, I saw Wicked in person. There were a bunch of these shows that I saw in person, Motown as well. And then finally I ended up seeing The Lion King. And they said, hey, we have a full-time position open up here. We'll bring you in 8 days a week. And then you can come in and watch. And at the time, I was still an acting student in New York. So I said, okay, I can really use this to my advantage and go in and not only make money ushering people and helping people in the theater, but then I can go in each night and watch a different actor or actress and learn from their physical technique, what they were doing with their facials, their bodies, whatever it was. And I think to date, I've seen The Lion King just over 430 times.
Wow.
I'm
Something
beyond
like that.
jealous.
And I loved it. I mean, I got to meet the cast. I was there for the 25th anniversary. I got to meet Elton John. That was a really cool experience.
Oh man.
I had a lot of good times working as an usher and being a part of the Broadway community. Even though I didn't get to perform on stage, I always had a love for being around those people.
Oh,
So
dude, like
it was
you were living my dream job, honestly. Like just to be able to see Lion King
Tie that
that many
down.
times. I'm trying to. The table's about to move. But
Yeah.
anyway, like that Lion King is probably one of my all-time favorite shows of all time. Like, I could watch it a million times over, and it would never get old for me. By far, my all-time favorite.
Is your all-time favorite The Lion King?
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would say like top three for me are Lion King, Les Miserables, and probably I'd say Sweeney Todd.
Interesting list.
Yeah, just like a total different range.
Like from Lion King to Sweeney Todd. Like that's
I mean, there is some darkness to the Lion King.
That's an all-time great right there.
Yes, but So I know we kind of get sidetracked from wrestling, but
Yeah, but no, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah,
I want to know how you went from I want to know how a New York. I want to know how a New Yorker who worked as an usher at Broadway plays managed to get down here in the dirty South.
yes.
How did we get here?
Sure. So I was living in New York, working as an actor, and I was working all these different side jobs and just really trying to make money any way I could. And I was going on auditions, but I wasn't landing any jobs. So I got very used to the word no, not at this time, we'll call you back. Rejection became a part of life for me. And I got to the point one day where I really wasn't exercising, I wasn't taking care of myself, I was just kind of living off of what I was making. And I looked in the mirror one day and I went, wow, you're a loser. Like, you have all this opportunity to be successful and you've been handed so much, but the reality is that you've squandered anything and everything that's been given to you, and now you're just living in 400 square feet in Manhattan, and you're barely working to meet ends meet, you're not productive, you don't have any long-term financial benefits coming your way. Like, what are we doing here?
That's
So
honest.
after that, I sat back, I made a few phone calls. I realized that I hit my own personal rock bottom. I was like, wow, like, this is, like, I had nothing. I had nothing to fall back on. My friends were, I would say, very superficial at the time. It was all about money and becoming the next great, it was Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, whatever, the next big actor or actress. And I always had much simpler goals for my life, and one of those things was long-term financial stability, and that's something that I really didn't have. So I saved what I could, and I had family down here, and I decided to make the move back down to Florida. And the second I got down here, immediately started going back to work, going back to college, and finding things that interested me, that it didn't matter whether people liked what I was doing or not. It just mattered whether I liked doing it. And I had always done things for other people for so long that I'd ignored my own long-term career and values. So I came down here, and after about 3 years, I was about to finish up college with my bachelor's, and I was looking around, I was like, you know what? If I don't try this wrestling thing now, if I don't at least give it a shot, I'm never going to do it. So I found a school out in Mobile, Alabama, called the Diamond Mine Wrestling Academy. And I went out there, and I saw a bunch of people in this ring, and at the time it was in the back of an old automobile warehouse, like a trash yard, basically, a construction yard. And I went into the ring, and I started hitting the ropes and doing a bunch of the things that they were telling me to do. And by the end of the practice, I got out, and the guy that was seeing the practice comes up to me and he goes, hey, how long have you been doing this? And I said, this is my first real time ever participating in a wrestling ring. And he said, you look like you've been doing it for a couple of years. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Don't give up, and just continue to work. And I have spent every day and every month since July 15th of 2023 trying to figure out how to become the very best version of Jack Passion that I could possibly be. And it has given me nothing but intense gratitude and love to know that I can give back to people every day, just like I watch people give back to me when I was growing up and younger. And even still, when I watch it on TV, they're constantly giving their bodies and their lives, their heart, their soul, their mind, everything. They're giving us everything. And I've always admired that. And I've always been selfish to a fault. And looking at those guys, I thought, wow, this is something that not only I could potentially turn into a career, but I'd like to become great at it. And I'd like to work to become great at it. And that's kind of where I got to, going from New York to here. I went through a lot of failure early on, and I made a lot of mistakes. And it led me to finally doing what I believe I was always meant to be, and that is a professional wrestler.
That's awesome. I love the story there. I love the truth with it, of being able to look at yourself and be honest with yourself. So many people, that's probably the hardest thing for them to do, is be honest with themselves. But you did, and you say you had a personal rock bottom, but you were at instead of being at a place where you had no other option but to do something else, you were at least wise enough to reach the rock bottom before you had no other options, and you had the ability to make options for yourself. And now, you're pursuing your balance, passions as well as pragmatism. And I think that's something that's really important, I think, for anybody who's listening or for anybody who talks to you that hear that story, because that is the truth of life. I mean, like, some people have those, well, this was, it was this or death, stories. But for most people, whatever it is, whether it's professional wrestling, music, I mean, passion projects, we're not always afforded the opportunity to just solely focus on just that thing. You've got other things to do. You've got bills to pay. You've got, if you've got a spouse, if you've got kids, if you're not, living on mom and dad's paycheck, and you got to make sure that, you got a place to live. But, it's cool. The thing that's great about professional wrestling is you get to do acting. Like, you get to perform in that manner and perform to a crowd, but it also encourages you to take care of your body and to have a presentable, look, because that's also part of it. And that's, one of the really cool things about professional wrestling is it's not just a sport, and it's not just performing. It's a performance, athletic, all kinds, psychological. There's so much to.
Like, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Yep, and we make stuff. Professional wrestlers make it look a lot better than Jake Paul and Tyson did on Saturday.
We won't get too much into that.
At least we're honest with our stuff being scripted.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to talk about phoning it? You want to talk about embarrassment? I mean, that was two guys going out and collecting a paycheck.
Yep.
It was kind of sad to see. I'm happy I fell asleep early. I fell asleep in the third round because I had a show the next day.
I think a lot of people fell asleep in the third round.
Yeah, exactly. Like, honestly, the undercard was what was the best part of that whole thing.
Oh, well, that was the thing. The female match that preceded.
Oh, yeah,
that was
so good.
I mean, that woman is, man, you want to talk about a beast.
Yeah.
Those women were throwing hands. And that's what people wanted to see.
Well, and I think maybe that was the goal. It was really like, we're going to have Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, but let's show them the good stuff ahead of time. Because we know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And if it gave the platform to those ladies, because I say everybody's been talking about how brutal that match was and how well those ladies fought, and so if you get the takeaway on that and Mike Tyson's butt, man, the blackness of it is just.
My gosh.
I don't know if that was a mistake or if that was on purpose. I wasn't expecting to see Mike Tyson's butt cheeks.
Man, I don't even know what to say about that.
I mean, I was just sitting there. You
didn't enjoy seeing legendary boxing butt cheeks? That wasn't your thing?
I mean, not very many people could say they've seen Mike Tyson's butt cheeks, but
actually,
now
a couple 100 million people
can say but now
everybody can.
Yeah, now everybody can.
And then I say, with all the issues that Netflix was having, somebody guaranteed, just the way that numbers work, the screen locked right then and there. When Mike Tyson's butt cheeks were there, it was boom. My screen is frozen. All right, and they had a Kody at 13 moment, where the parents were like, I wasn't watching that on purpose. The screen froze like that.
Oh man!
So we always ask this question. You kind of gave it, but maybe I think you might have a different answer. Like, we talked about wrestlers who you pull from and who you're influenced by. But if you have to, we always ask this question: the Mount Rushmore. Who's on your Mount Rushmore? And obviously from any era, from Luthez to Bronson Reed. Please don't put Bronson Reed on your Mount Rushmore.
I was about to say, I don't know if he's going to put that on there, but I mean, it's his Mount Rushmore.
Say, from the beginning to where we currently are.
All right. So again, to everybody that's about to disagree with me, I apologize. This is just
that's what I'm saying. This is yours, because everybody that we've had,
we've never had a repeat.
No, there's never been a repeat. That's the great thing about it. I mean, there may be one or two,
and people will always throw one on there that we never expect.
Yeah.
There's probably a good list of 20 or so that you hear it and you're like, yeah, no problem. But we've most of the time too, I'll get someone who's kind of out of left field, but I get it.
Yeah.
Because I said, different wrestlers affect different people in different ways and entertain you. People are always surprised when I say he's not on my Mount Rushmore, but I loved Buff Bagwell.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, he sucked. He was terrible. I was like, dude, he entertained the crap out of me.
I was about to say, he was so entertaining.
He was so entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, so in no particular order,
Yeah.
John Cena,
Okay.
Triple H,
Ooh, yes.
Fantastic.
Shawn Michaels,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
and Randy Orton.
There you go.
I mean, that's a pretty solid list right there.
So you got two.
And I didn't grow up, like, I've had to go back and watch before WrestleMania 20, but again, I grew up enjoying the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
enjoyed growing up and watching. Now, from, the mid-2010s, like 09 to, I don't know,
Yeah, that was the dark period.
13, hey.
That was the
Rocky. Let's all just...
Well, that was the conversion to the PG era.
Yeah, and then we all saw what happened
for a
there.
minute there. It was Rocky, and it was not as fun to be a fan of professional wrestling at that point in time.
Well, I
No.
stopped watching WWE at that time. I want to say around 2006-ish, I stopped watching WWE, and I was purely watching TNA, ROH. Like, I didn't watch WWE for a while.
See, and I think that's about the time where I started, like, a little bit earlier before, but that's about the time where I started watching WWE. It was like right at the beginning phases of the Ruthless Aggression era.
But yeah, I started watching it at the tail end of the new era. So I'm a real fan because I started watching it when it really sucked.
When did you start? When did you first start watching it?
So first started being exposed to it like mid to late 95. Yeah, I was like 7, and my friend, my next door neighbor, he was more into it than me, but I would watch it with him, and there were people that I liked. Like, I liked Shawn Michaels, I liked Diesel, I liked Razor Ramon, I liked The Undertaker, and then Gold Dust made me super uncomfortable.
I think it made everybody uncomfortable.
But like, this was like, remember, this is the mid 90s. Like, the Gold Dust character, like, we were like, he made us like legitimately angry. Like, it wasn't like we didn't live in the era we're at now where they're like, oh yeah, he's different and that's awesome. It was like, no, he legitimately played a character that his ambiguity made the crowd angry. And not to say that was like the healthiest thing, but that's what it was then.
yeah.
You don't look at history through the lens of today. You look at it through the lens of when it was.
Exactly.
And I just remember being like somewhat into it, but then, like I said, I've said on this multiple times, WrestleMania 12, the Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels and Bret. I watched that as it was happening. When Shawn came out on the zip line, it was, and the reaction that he got, it was, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I would totally do that. And then as they wrestled the match and told the story and got down to the final seconds, and it looked like it was he was gonna give up, and then he didn't give up, and then it was a draw, and it was like, are you kidding me? And then sudden death, and then the boyhood dream comes true. And the look that he had as he looked at the title in the ring, I was like, it was hook, line, and sinker at that point. That WWF title was the most valuable thing on this earth, and I had to be a part of that.
See, it is a totally different one for me. Like, I think the first time I got exposed to it, I don't remember which SummerSlam it was, but it was the one, like, Hogan and Shawn Michaels was the main event. But,
the oversell of the century.
Yeah, the oversell of the century. But I think the first match out of that whole event that got me hooked immediately, it was Randy Orton and The Undertaker at the time. Mm-hmm. And the minute that Undertaker's music hit, like, I immediately was like, just entranced. Like, what is this? And then you see that lightning bolt just strike down and fire shoots up. And you see this ominous character in a black cloak and a long hat just walking through the smoke and the mist. And it's just like, this is so freaking cool. And then, of course, like, towards the end of the match, Cowboy Bob Orton shows up and helps Randy Orton get the win. And then the storytelling they did even afterwards with that rivalry, just seeing
all the way up until Survivor Series,
all the way
to shot of them walking right after Randy Orton won the 5-on-5 elimination match. Right, Undertaker goes out, they have him in the casket, they have it explode on fire.
See, that's probably one of my favorite Undertaker returns of all time. That one, and then the build-up that they had for Unforgiven when he faced Mark Henry.
That entrance at Unforgiven is one of the, in terms of like cinematic, like the actual.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as far as cinematic goes, Yeah, and you can pee on me all you want.
I have the benefit of older age on you guys. Like the original return is after the casket match, Royal Rumble '98, and the casket's lit on fire. And Undertaker doesn't show up until he does right before WrestleMania 14 and accepts the challenge and says, because the entire time before then it was, I'm not going to wrestle my brother, I'm not going to wrestle my brother. And then it's like, now I'm going to kill you.
Right. That's like the original one.
That's what led to the Undertaker that would become the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker. But I will say that Unforgiven entrance was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, that video package they played to start it off, the pay-per-view, is probably one of my favorite. I go back and watch that periodically just because of how fantastic.
Yep, just the way it's put together.
Yes.
Like one of my favorite video packages of all time was the WrestleMania 17. My Way.
Yes.
Stone Cold and The Rock package.
Yes.
I can literally just sit there and watch that. Not even watch the match or anything, but just I'll put that on and be like, nostalgia.
Yep.
Like member berries.
100%.
A really good one. Go look up 2004, the intro promo for Triple H, Benoit, and Shawn Michaels.
Ooh, yes.
Step Up by Drowning Pool playing in the background, man.
Yep.
Man,
you want to talk about what WWE is absolutely better than anybody else at, it's not even debatable, is hyping their matches through
the actual
the
promotion aspect of the job. Like I say, that's what they're supposed to be, promoters, and that's what they do better than anybody else is they promote.
100%.
They sell. They make the matches matter.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Well, man,
the best.
Well, Jack, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast. It's been such a pleasure getting to talk with you. Hopefully we'll have you on for more stuff in the future. But before you go, I want to let everybody know where they can find you. So what's your social media handles? Where can people see if they want to go and watch any of your matches? Just tell them where you're going to be at.
Absolutely. So Jack Passion 2023 on Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram, anywhere you can find me, Jack Passion 2023. If you'd like to get in contact, jackpassion2023@gmail.com. Please send me an email anytime. More than happy to answer questions and talk to fans whenever I can. And I'm going to be, the next time I'll be performing will be November 29th for Diamond Championship Wrestling. That will be a pay-per-view event called All Cells Final. It's the company's first ever live pay-per-view, so if you'd like to check it out, I believe it's $10 through Apex Media. So give us a watch, and then after that, I will be back with the Guardians Legacy December 7th, right back in Panama City, Florida.
All right.
And we're going to rock the house once again. I believe it's been announced that I will be in a... So before I go, I just want to talk about what I'm going to be doing at the Guardians, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Spoilers coming.
So I saw recently at the last show that Exodus are up to some shenanigans again.
As usual.
Why do we have to? No, come on. Exodus is trying to do their job, and somebody, we're not going to say his name rhymes with Trip, seems to think that they need to be involved in every single thing that goes on and needs to make it fair for the little children. I'm sick of it.
Regardless, go ahead and finish what you were going to say, Jack.
Those guys, I heard and saw what they did to Josh Breezy at the last show.
That was pretty funny.
That really bothered me.
Oh.
And I sat back and I thought about it, and I went, you know what? I've been in the ring with Exodus before, and I've beaten Exodus before. The last time I was in there with them, I gave a cutter to Josh Wise off the broad and strong shoulders of T. Gaines, Quadzilla herself. And cheaters. I went in there and I showed everybody that if you stand up to Exodus and you show that you got a set on you, you can put them on their back and have them staring up at the lights. It's very possible. So they decided to attack a guy and try and take him out of the company. And when I saw Josh Breeze talk about his experience and them sticking a screwdriver in his head and whatever else they were doing, I thought to myself, you know what? What better way to come back to the Guardians legacy than to stick it to Exodus one more time and team up with Josh Breezy and take them on in not only a tag team match, but a three-way tag team match between Exodus, Josh Breezy, and Jack Passion, and Permanent Vacation. And I got all the love in the world for Permanent Vacation. Xander King, Jeremiah Evans, those guys are my boys. I love them, and I can't wait to see them. But Josh Wise and Nick Bundy have been running around the Guardians legacy in the Gulf Coast of Florida and claiming themselves the best tag team for far too long. And I'm going to show up one more time, and I'm going to show the fans of the Guardians Legacy, Nick Wise and Josh Bundy, that we don't have to be afraid of those guys anymore. Because we don't deal with bullying, and we stand up to bullying here at the TGL. So myself and Josh Breezy, we're going to come in and we're going to do some damage. And that's what it's all about. And if you don't know already, you're about to find out.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. At the Guardians Legacy, Jack Passion and Josh Breezy are teaming up to not only take on Permanent Vacation with Xander King and James the Gator Grimm, but they'll also be taking on the tag team of Exodus.
The tag team champions.
I was getting to that. If you'll let me finish. The tag team champions, Josh Wise and Nick Bundy, collectively known as Exodus. I'm looking forward to that. I hope every single one of you will go check it out. And also go check out Diamond Championship Wrestling's event as well. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I got that right. Their first ever live pay-per-view event. Go check it out. But Jack, like I said before, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast, and we look forward to seeing you in action in the future.
Gentlemen, this has been a great time. I will come back anytime. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. All right, guys, now it's time for some high spots and botches. So, as far as high spots go, I'll let you kick it off for yours. So, what do you got for your high spot this week?
I only had one high spot this week. This last week was not my favorite week of professional wrestling, but Shinsuke Nakamura's return and just putting out. I mean, I love LA Knight, but we've all been wondering where Shinsuke's been and if he was going to come back or if he went silently into the good night and left or whatever. He's returned, and I don't know. I just have a good feeling about this one. I feel like we're going to get a much better character and usage of the talents of Shinsuke Nakamura with this return.
I really hope so, because that'd be fantastic. I mean, it's kind of the same look he had before, but there's like a darker tone to it now.
It's a little refinement that goes a long way.
Yes. My high spot, since you're talking about LA Knight, my high spot was LA Knight's promo against Legado del Fantasma.
That was good.
Oh my gosh, LA Knight on the mic, he's without a doubt one of the best on the microphone right now.
Well, absolutely, there's no question about that.
I mean, absolutely phenomenal. Loved every single second of it. With everybody saying, LA Knight, yeah. As far as botches go, what you got for this week?
Really most of Dynamite, but primarily the Death Rider or John Moxley's takeover that didn't take over. And that made the Death Riders look weak for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do not like pancake booking with factions, and there's such an inability of the AEW creative to just let a heel faction soak up all the heat that they possibly can. Like, there's this need to have, like, an ebb and a flow. Like, they constantly, like, oh, well, if they did this on this day, then they need to go down on this day, and it needs to be even. The world's not even. The world's not fair. The bad guys win more than the good guys do. And a heel faction, like, that made up of Cesaro, Pac, John Moxley, and, the Marina Shafir, and what's his name?
Wheeler
Yuta. Like, just save for those three, but Pac, Cesaro, and Moxley alone shouldn't touch the mat for months.
No.
Like, all they should do is wreak havoc.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, it's just sad. Which, I mean, I was actually looking forward to Full Gear.
I'm still looking forward to it. I just like,
to a degree.
Like I said, there's no payoff in weakening a heel faction that's less than 2 months old.
So yeah, 100%. My watch for this week was pretty much Monday Night Raw. I felt like it was very lacking this week. I mean, yeah, of course you still got the continuing rivalry with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, and then you've got
not necessarily another botch, but just another thing. I don't like this, and maybe it's a hot take. I don't think it is. I think most people.
I think I know where you're going with this, but I completely agree with you.
The 5-on-5 is dog crap.
100%.
I don't want 5-on-5. And what is this whole like trying to act like it's always been a 5-on-5? It hasn't always been a 5-on-5. It's been a 4-on-4.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is that they're like, oh, you know, somebody said it in some promo. Oh, you know, it's got to be a 5-on-5. And I just was like,
where's that rule?
I was like, what? Huh? Did someone fart? What? No. Like. It's 4-on-4, and why are we in like this? Is the Bloodline versus the Bloodline? Why does Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins have to be involved in this now?
It doesn't. It's absolutely unnecessary. Like keep it with just the 4 members of the Bloodline 2.0 and the OG Bloodline. Yeah,
if you want to have, all you need. If you want to have Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins mix it up again, let them have their own match at Survivor Series.
Or if you
not in War Games.
Or if you absolutely have to have it 5-on-5, don't let it be someone that is not involved with the Bloodline storyline at all. If you wanted to, and I'm sure people have seen posters of it where fans have created this, and it would have been an absolutely fantastic War Games match, but have Bloodline 2.0 with their leader, The Rock, go against the OG Bloodline, but then you add Zilla Fatu. I mean, if you wanted 5-on-5, there's your 5-on-5. There's your marquee match.
Well, like I said, I don't need 5-on-5. I wanted 4-on-4. Okay,
and that's what it should have been. I wanted
the OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline, and the new Bloodline is Solo, the Tongans, and Jacob Fatu, and it perfectly matches up with Roman, the Usos, and Sammy Uso.
That's the way it should have been.
There is no need for a 5th person. There's no need for a 6th person. There's no need for any of this schmoz. And then some people are even like, because they, Roman calls Paul's number and it's disconnected, and so now you have people thinking, oh, Brock's going to be involved. No, he's not.
No, he's
Brock
not.
Brock is still a pisser, okay? And they don't let pissers on the new company because they're trying to separate from the Vince McMahon stuff.
Yes.
Okay? That man needs to stop peeing on people. All right, him and R. Kelly, stop peeing on people.
Enough.
It's too much. Stop eating asparagus. It stinks.
But anyway, guys, that's been our episode for this week. I want to thank again Jack Passion for joining us for an interview. Also want to thank all of our listeners. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe to all of our stuff on YouTube and follow us on all podcast streaming platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, wherever podcasts are streamed, we are there. Go follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I want to remind you guys of the upcoming events. I only had one, but it's going to be a great one. December 7th, Guardians Legacy presents Fantastic at Rosenwald High School Gym in Panama City, Florida. The doors open at 6 and the bell time is at 7. Like I said, for more tickets information, go to www.theguardianslegacy.com. A lot of great things happening, and I'm going to let you know. Next time, I'm going to be prepared for that.
You want to do that again? Like really? Like I mean, you said it earlier that you want it, but like I honestly like. I know I give you a hard time, but I am your friend and I do care about you. So I say this in all sincerity. This is not something worth killing yourself for. And I'm not, but it doesn't mean I'm going to give it up. I'm not going to let you win it easy. Like I'm not going, like I don't do this with my children, and I'm not going to do it with you. I'm not going to let you win easy so that you can have an ego moment and you can feel like you accomplished something. If you're going to win this, you're going to come to the edge of death to do so.
I don't know if you heard me clearly from the last few times that I've said this, but maybe I just need to reiterate it. I don't expect it to be easy. I mean, I found that out the hard way whenever I was in the Master Lock. But regardless, whatever it takes, I don't care if I have to go through the valley. I don't care if I have to climb a mountain. I don't care if I have to bust through a brick wall.
All right.
Whatever it takes, whoever you put in front of me, I am going to win that championship.
All right.
It's going to happen.
Well,
whoever you want in front of me, doesn't matter.
I may already have something in mind. Stay tuned to find out.
Well, anyway, guys, like we always say, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. But as always, keep it 5 stars.